The U.S. Arab Radio Network is the largest Arab and Muslim radio network in America, broadcasting throughout the Midwest region Monday through Friday on WNZK AM 690. U.S. Arab Radio features Arabic and English language programming on every topic, from health, food, and culture to government, politics, and legal issues. Listen live to U.S. Arab Radio in Michigan, Toledo, Ohio, and Windsor, Canada on WNZK AM 690. And in Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia on WDMV 700 AM. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok. So join us every day on the U.S. Arab Radio Network and check out our website at www.arabradio.us.
Good morning and thank you for being with us. This is Khalil Hachem with US Arab Radio. We have a great show for you today. We're going to start with the Middle East. President Trump announced an American-Israeli plan to end the war in Gaza without talking to the Palestinians. His plan includes exchanging of hostages and prisoners and a phased withdrawal out of Gaza. With us this morning is Said Arikat, the Washington bureau chief of the Quds Daily Newspaper, a long-time Washington-based Palestinian journalist and analyst, and an accomplished media and public affairs specialist. Good morning, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Said, we've seen this movie before. The United States and Israel say we're going to do something that it's difficult to accept, and blame it on the Palestinians after all if it doesn't work out. Is this another episode of that, or is there anything else that might happen out of this?
I'm afraid to say that it is really just another episode of what we have seen in the past. As you said, we've seen this movie before. You know, since the war began, the United States of America could have ended that war in 24 hours or in a week or whatever. The Biden administration, of course, never raised the issue of a ceasefire. I mean, they kept saying we're negotiating, but they never asked or pressured Israel to accept a ceasefire until the very end, when, Trump was elected and so on. And Trump's men, who are very close friends with Netanyahu, like Steve Witkoff and, of course, his Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, and Adam Boehler. I mean, all these people were very close to Netanyahu, and they basically told him, look, give the president a pass, let's have a ceasefire, and then you can break it anytime you want to. And so we saw them break it after 2 months, on March 18 for no reason. It was effected was effectuated on January 19 and ended in the early morning of 18 of March. So look, I mean, we've seen it before. We have seen the president says, it's right there. We're almost there. This is a new proposal and so on, only to see it basically kicked away or thrown out by Netanyahu.
Yeah. Last time they did that, it was more of a ploy to trap the Palestinian negotiators. And that's what happened in Qatar. Are you seeing something similar now?
I don't know. For sure, it seemed like a trap because we know that the American president submitted that proposal on September 5, on Friday. And he said Saturday that this is going to be, take it or leave it. I gave it to them and so on. Hamas and the Qataris, the mediators, said, yeah, we'll look at it very seriously. He asked that they all meet in Qatar, all the leadership. He asked for that. The administration asked for that, and they sure did. And then they were struck. I think it's by, a stroke of luck that they were not killed. Mm-hmm. But the intent was there. The United States of America has a huge base. I've seen that base. It's a huge in Qatar, and it has the most amazing assets, interception assets, and so on, that they could have shot these missiles down if they wanted to, as they did with the Iranian missiles from the same base. Mm-hmm. But they chose not to because really they had hoped that they would assassinate Al-Hayy, and that would give Netanyahu some sort of a victory. So what we see now is something else. I mean, that is basically the same thing, just warmed over. I mean, between the two proposals, between the 5th and the 29th, is not a long time. I mean, we're talking about 3 weeks only. Nothing has changed. They keep changing, moving the goalposts. Netanyahu does. Now they want to basically reintroduce the British mandate with Tony Blair as the viceroy of Gaza and so on. I mean, some ridiculous ideas.
Satan wasn't available. They called on Tony Blair.
I'm sorry.
I said Satan wasn't available. They called on Tony Blair.
I guess so.
This is the guy who took us to war in Iraq.
I know. I know what you're saying. So Tony Blair, a guy that lied about Iraq and so on, a man who is basically has no scruples whatsoever. I mean, I don't know him, but I have seen him speak in places and so on, and he's just unscrupulous, money grabber kind of guy. And that's what he's doing. I mean, this war has made a lot of people rich, by the way. The killing of our people in Gaza has made a lot of people rich. And, the GHF people, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, others and so on have enriched themselves out of the misery of the Palestinians. And Tony Blair is looking to do the same thing.
Side? Who's paying for that?
Well, that's a very good question. Nobody knows who is paying for the GHF, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. Now, we were told time and again that the United States of America committed $30 million. That was way back right when it was launched in May. And then, a month later, they said, we put in the pipeline $15 million. And we are waiting to approve another $15 million that has been approved. So the slated amount is $30 million. And then the president keeps saying $60 million, although the State Department keeps correcting him and say it's only $30 million. So we don't know who's paying for this. I think Israel is making a lot of money, private contractors and so on. But for sure, it is done and conducted and organized based on ill will toward the Palestinians. It has turned into a death trap. I mean, I don't want to divert from what we are talking about, the essence.
Sure.
I mean, that is a horrific thing to basically have four distribution centers, to replace 400 distribution centers. It's amazing. They have these guys, and in fact, Aguilar, who was an official, he said they were killing people on purpose. Yeah. He's been going around the country saying the same thing, showing evidence. Others have come forward. So we know that the intent really is to trap Palestinians, to kill them, maim them, and most of all, ethnically cleanse them.
Yeah, Mr. Netanyahu did not commit himself to anything, not to withdrawal, for a Palestinian state, nothing. I mean, I expect that nothing would happen with this.
Yes, Netanyahu, remember, Netanyahu is a war criminal. He's been designated as such by the ICC, the International Criminal Court. So he's been designated by them as a war criminal. So he's always, he never tells the truth. That's what his people say. They say that he never tells the truth. He's kicking the can so he can stay in power until the next election. His most important thing or goal is to basically maintain his right-wing extremist coalition, Smotrich and Ben Gvir and so on. That's all he cares about. So he's not going to commit to anything. I mean, now he says no Hamas, no Palestinian Authority. The Palestinian Authority has been actually serving the Israeli occupation quite well. So I don't expect anything will come out of it. Now, of course, Mr. Netanyahu sees the fact on the ground that they have not been able to achieve the goal stated. It is despite what he keeps saying day after day. They have not managed to free the hostages as they wanted to, because the only way to get the hostages home is basically to have a negotiated agreement with Hamas. Second, he's not going to destroy Hamas. I mean, this is unimaginable. And Palestinians have been fighting this Zionist project all their life, for for the better part
70 years or so.
Yeah. More so since since 1924. So it's been 100 years, and they're not going to give up on their land. They have nowhere to go. I mean, they have no place else to go. Yeah. You could kill them, you could destroy them, but who's going to accept them? To begin with, you have 2 million people in Gaza. You have close to 4 million people in the West Bank. We have 500,000, close to 500,000 people in East Jerusalem and the old city and so on. And the Palestinians are just not going to leave. You can come up with all kinds of things. You can, Trump said that he will not agree to annexation of areas that are under the authority of the Palestinian Authority. Yeah. But 60%.
He'll change his mind tomorrow.
Right, but 60% of the West Bank is basically Area C, which is under the total control of the Israelis. So obviously, and he didn't elaborate, he didn't say, but I think he was saying that not the area that is under PA control, but the other areas may be flexible there.
Yeah. What's next? What's going to happen next? Any idea?
Well, unlike everybody else, we hope against hope that a ceasefire will take place, simply to basically stop this killing. This genocide. It's no other way to describe it. It's a genocide. It's been termed as such by all the scholars that are actually expert and have the proper expertise and documentation that this is a genocide that is expanding every day, that's becoming larger and larger, that there's no food, no water. So we want the salvation of our people. That is definitely the wish of every Palestinian. We want to see it end. But, it's the Palestinians are not going to basically surrender in the end and give up their rights. So I don't know. I fear that this slaughter of the Palestinians will go on.
Continue,
will continue. Yeah. Because let me remind you, Steve Witkoff, when he met with Blair at the White House, when they talked about Gaza Riviera project, whatever it is, he said that maybe by the end of the year. So we don't know. At least we have a calendar date or calendar deadline, which at the end of the year we shall see.
We hope sooner, actually.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Said, I really want to thank you for taking the time to be with us. I know you have a very busy schedule. Said Arikat, the Washington Bureau Chief of the Quds Daily Newspaper. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Arab Center Washington, D.C. was established in 2015 to serve as a Washington-based authoritative research center on the Arab world and U.S. policies in the region. My name is Khalil Hachem, and I'm the Executive Director of Arab Center, Washington, D.C.
I am Tamara Kharoub. I'm the Deputy Executive Director and Senior Fellow here. Our mission at Arab Center, Washington, D.C. has been to provide Arab perspectives to U.S. policy conversations and to highlight rights-centered approaches to policymaking as a way to serve the causes of human rights, democracy, just and peaceful resolution to conflict, and constructive long-term U.S. interest in the region.
Our work also addresses fundamental aspects of U.S.-Arab relations through timely and objective academic research, policy analysis, and educational exchange, reaching millions of people here in the United States and around the world.
Since our inception, we invested in producing reliable, evidence-based, and inclusive analysis on important issues shaping the Middle East and North Africa.
We would like to invite you personally to check out our publications and events at arabcenterdc.org.
And please follow our social media platforms for timely responses to news, events, and current affairs.
arabcenterdc.org.
Life for Relief and Development has now been rated as one of the best charities for humanitarian aid. Life's humanitarian projects span the globe, and Life is celebrating its 30th anniversary of providing essential life-saving aid to people and communities in 36 countries, regardless of race, color, religion, or cultural background. Where there is life, there is hope. And when disaster occurs here or around the world, including being one of the first responders to the Turkey-Syria earthquake crisis, Life for Relief and Development rushes in to provide food, medical aid, and shelter to those in need. We are looking to help the earthquake victims, and we take 0% overhead on emergency donations. So please help improve these efforts. Learn more about our involvement to help the helpless and bring hope where it's needed most, and make your tax-deductible donation to Life for Relief and Development now at lifeusa.org or call 248-424-7493. That's 248-424-7493.
Welcome back, and thank you for being with us. This is Khalil Hachem with US Arab Radio. We're going to continue talking about the Middle East and the plan that President Trump announced recently, the what's called peace plan for Gaza. And with us this morning is Dr. Brad Roth, a professor of political science and law at Wayne State University. Good morning, and thank you for being with us.
Good morning, and thank you.
Absolutely. You know, going over the plan and knowing now what we know, how it was changed at the end, like it seems like we've seen this movie before in which we offer the Palestinians something they will not accept, and then go back and blame it on them and then continue the war. Does it sound like that to you, or is there any hope that you see that I don't see?
Well, the best case scenario is not very hopeful, and it goes downhill from there. So I agree with you that it does, in fact, look like just those kinds of circumstances. We always hear this line about how the Palestinians never miss an opportunity to miss an opportunity. And what that always has meant is that the Palestinians have never missed an opportunity to bid against their rights. And so this is the sort of ad absurdum of this, one might think, because Palestinians are not part of this negotiation as a take it or leave it matter. This is a negotiation between the United States and Israel as to the ultimatum to be presented to Hamas. And the Palestinian Authority is very much sidelined in all of this, notwithstanding the fact that over 150 states in the international system recognize Palestine as a state with the Palestinian Authority as its government. So it is a very odd situation. On the other hand, we face such a situation of humanitarian catastrophe on the ground that anything that promises to put a halt to the siege as it is something that one has to look to with some degree of hope. Just because there's no alternative, the alternative is unthinkable.
Yeah. When I read what they put out, it sounded to me like it's the same agreement that they did with Lebanon, in which Israel later on did not really honor, and they continues to occupy and they continues to attack Lebanon on daily basis, giving Israel a free hand in and not providing a time to withdraw in phases and conditions. This doesn't really seem like a plan that Israel really is willing to, to end the war, and maybe briefly, but not for a long time.
Right. It does not really specify hard obligations for Israel in respect to a withdrawal timetable. And it would seem to leave in the hands of the Israelis determinations about the security situation, if for no other reason than there's no honest broker, as they say, in terms of dealing with the veracity of any kind of claim. The referee in this case is aligned with one of the sides, and so
Sure.
How do you actually, what recourse could there be if Israel reneges? And that's clearly going to be one of the sticking points of this.
Now, is this another ploy to really control Gaza and drive the Palestinians out, do you think?
Well, it is interesting that the statement, I won't call it an agreement, states that Gazans will not be forced out of the territory, and that if people do leave voluntarily, they will have a right to return. Where have we heard that before? It's not at all clear how this is going to operate, but at least there is this rhetorical commitment to the non-ethnic cleansing of the territory. And there are a few things in the document that are hopeful, including the release of prisoners, which is, by the way, something that's a real problem on the Israeli side. I think Netanyahu desperately hopes that Hamas will turn this down, because his own right-wing parties, who can pull the plug on his coalition, are unlikely to be willing to accept these outcomes, particularly with respect to the release of a substantial number of people who have been convicted and sentenced to life terms for homicide. And so it's a delicate situation, and also if Hamas is likely to reject it on the one hand, and the right wing of the Israeli coalition is likely to reject it on the other. Hard to see how.
What's really interesting to me is the fact
the
normally.
gets.
Yes, absolutely. What was really interesting to me is the fact that normally the rejection from the Palestinians comes in right away. This time it didn't, and given time to Mr. Netanyahu to go back to Israel and face his right-wing coalition, and that was not really a good meeting. I think this is one of the first time this happened. As you well recall, in the past, they would claim before leaving Washington, they claim that the Palestinians don't want peace, and then leave it to that. This time it was a little bit different, and I'm not sure what came out of that meeting with the right-wing groups in Israel, but they did not seem to be very happy, and I don't know if that would work in the Palestinian favor or not.
Well, one thing about Ben-Gvir and Smotrich is that on the one hand, they hold Netanyahu's fate in their hands, both in political terms, but also ultimately in terms of internal criminal justice inside of Israel. That's why Netanyahu is so desperate to prevent new elections from being called. But on the other hand, it would be suicidal for Ben-Gvir and Smotrich to pull the plug on the coalition, because they would not be part of a government that would come out of a new election. So it's a game of chicken here on that, and the right has backed down. I mean, the far right, the right of the right, has backed down in the past. So it may be that isn't really the primary threat to all of this. My real concern is that something will be agreed, but then the implementation of it is going to be effectively controlled by Israel, or by a referee that will be effectively siding with Israel's considerations, and that there'll be no real Palestinian participation in whatever goes forward.
President Trump said, or the statement basically said that no, will not allow the Palestinians to leave, and then will rebuild Gaza, and then will not allow Israel to annex the West Bank. I don't think these are really an American decision. These are Israeli decision. If Israel is gonna drive the Palestinian out, they're gonna be driven out, and if Israel wants to annex, the West Bank, Israel is going to annex the West Bank. They have their own way of really, do that. I don't put a lot of weight in that statement from President Trump.
Well, also the idea is that Israel is making concessions here, which are, odd kinds of things to characterize as concessions. It reflects the Trump attitude toward these kinds of matters, that there are no background rules to any of this. It's just a matter of power. It's just a matter of leverage, the art of the deal or whatever. And so Israel, left to its own devices, can do anything it wants, and therefore withholding from doing anything it wants is going to be considered a concession that they should be credited for.
Yeah. It was interesting to read yesterday that what was presented to the Arab countries that President Trump met with is totally different than what the later statement that was released. I'm not sure why Mr. Trump would risk. I mean, they already don't trust him much, and I don't know why he would risk even more diluting that trust. Because now these Arab leaders have to face their people saying, you a bunch of fools, got fooled again.
Yeah, it's difficult to know what the political dynamics are in the Arab countries in question and what sort of participation there really will be. It's a very vague document in terms of who's going to be contributing troops to this, what their mandate is going to be, how any kind of implementation of disarmament is going to proceed, who will be carrying that out. And so for the Arab states to provide a kind of fig leaf for what could continue to be total Israeli dominance of the situation on the ground would seem to be politically detrimental to the Arab regimes. But on the other hand, of course, they can't be seen to stand idly by and let people starve as well. So.
Yeah, that's even a much bigger issue there. The humanitarian, which what's going on politically kind of gave some deflection to the misery that continues to plague the Palestinians there.
Yeah, the situation is really unbearable, and therefore people are considering things that they would not otherwise have ever considered. And it's interesting, the Hamas leadership even under considerable pressure, I think, from Palestinians in the Gaza Strip to find some way out of this. Whereas the military wing of Hamas perhaps is seeing this in different terms. The political wing is more sensitive to the kind of misery that the situation is inflicting.
Yeah, I wonder why Israel wouldn't want the PLO to be or the Palestinian Authority to be involved in Gaza. I mean, this is something that Israel sought for a long time, and Hamas rejected.
Well, I'm not sure that they ever really wanted. I mean, this was why there were these back channel connections through Qatar, from during the entire period leading up to October 7th. The goal of the Israeli government for a long time has been to subvert the unity of the Palestinian political community. This is something that really goes way back. And it's been a consistent pattern, back in the Begin years. Even the Israeli policy has always been to try to complicate any effort to bring together Palestinians in a unified front against them. And so in continue with that, it would seem. And we're going to have Palestinian technocrats of some sort, whatever that's supposed to be, under the effective control of some yet to be fully defined international group, in which Tony Blair, of all people, is going to have some significant.
Yeah. Did that surprise you?
Yeah. I guess the only thing that wouldn't surprise me about it was Tony Blair's own hubris. And this is someone who is largely discredited. His latest public opinion polls in the UK had him at 21% approve and 47. So he's got nowhere to go but up in terms of trying to rehabilitate his reputation in the United Kingdom and certainly globally, where he is largely blamed for the Iraq War. And yet, of course, he's falling back on his experience with the Good Friday Agreement and subsequently St. Andrews Agreement in Northern Ireland, which really deserves a substantial amount of credit, one must say. But he's tarnished his own image in this respect. And the fact that he gets along so well with Donald Trump does stand him in good stead going forward.
Yeah, raises a flag. He gets along with Donald Trump. That raises a flag over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out, is this about money? Why would somebody like Tony Blair would be really involved in that?
Well, I think it has mostly to do with rehabilitating his legacy, and so it's easy to see why some would be flattered by the prospect of being the savior in this situation. And he knows that Donald Trump is going to be very inattentive. Trump is going to be the chairman of the board, as it were, of this provisional authority that will govern the Gaza Strip. But clearly, he will not be a hands-on individual. And so that leaves an opportunity for Blair to play a larger role. And so he might imagine, I think he's flirting with the possibility of being totally humiliated. It's a real roll of the dice on his part.
So Mr. Trump is really thinking about that Nobel Prize. He wants that, and any any way he can. He didn't get it in Ukraine. I don't think he's going to be able to, for 70 something years, this has been going on. I don't think he's going to be able to get it for this one.
I wouldn't imagine so, but everything is so topsy-turvy, and we've seen in this country so many people bending the knee to Donald Trump that nothing would surprise me anymore. So it's a very strange situation.
Yeah. Do you think this is more of a ploy to justify the demolition of Gaza City and going after the Palestinians with more force? Now like Israel can say, we gave him a chance, they didn't take it. President Trump said, hey, if they don't agree, he has a free hand. Do you see that more of a war plan instead of a peace plan?
I think on Netanyahu's part it is, and he has certainly telegraphed that in his comments about we can do this the easy way or we can do it the hard way, and he clearly sees this as a green light if Hamas refuses to go along. The key question is clearly not accept it without question becomes how much negotiation is going to take place here, or is the bottom line going to be if they fail to accept it in higher, then there's a green light for the Israelis. It's hard to know.
Yeah. What do you think the chances of anything coming positive other than maybe stopping the war for a short period of time? Anything positive out of this?
Well, I think stopping the war for any length of time and allowing humanitarian supplies in would be a positive. One has to really take one's consolations where one can find them. In terms of a kind of long-term plan for rebuilding the Gaza Strip, and some realization of Palestinian self-determination, it's really very difficult for me to see how this is a way forward to that. But there's at least if the fighting stops, there are chances to make progress on other paths. And so the most important thing is to stop this. So we should, I think, root for this, notwithstanding the fact that it is really full with booby traps and is not likely in itself to provide a map to a better future.
Final thoughts, Dr. Roth?
Well, as you say, this is a situation, as we've seen over and over in the past, where the United States has set itself up as an honest broker, but has only really been putting Palestinians in a position of having a take it or leave it deal, where what they're basically doing is having to accept a relinquishment of fundamental that the international community and that international law clearly ascribes to them. So this is a depressing development on that level. Nonetheless, anything that allows for people to be fed and cared for in the short term is something to be seen with hope.
Dr. Brad Roth, Professor of Law and Political Science and Law at Wayne State University. Thank you so much for being with us, and hopefully something will come out of this. We really appreciate your taking the time to be with us this morning. We're going to take a short break. Please stay tuned.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Welcome to Al Shaba Restaurant at 2029 15 Mile Road in Sterling Heights, where you'll be treated to the finest in Middle Eastern cuisine. Enter into the exotic atmosphere of tantalizing aromas and enjoy our chicken or beef shawarma hummus, kebabs, specially seasoned Syrian-style beef burgers, babia fatouche salad, soups and sandwiches, plus desserts that include baklava, ice cream, and more. Just call in your order at 586-565-6661 or go to our website and place your order now at elshaba.square.site. That's elshaba.square.site. Then you'll see all there is to choose from. Try us today. You'll like us. We are located at 2097 15 Mile Road in Sterling Heights. With more than 30,000 successful in vitro fertilizations, IVF Michigan is now ranked as one of America's best fertility clinics according to Newsweek magazine. IVF Michigan fertility centers are the recognized leaders in high-quality fertility care. With locations in Bloomfield Hills and 9 other cities in Michigan and Ohio, IVF has experts in all aspects of the field. A founding member, American board-certified Dr. Nicholas Shama, is one of the leading reproductive endocrinologists in Michigan and Ohio. He has performed over 20,000 successful IVF cases, and it's helped thousands of couples fulfill their dreams of parenthood. When it's time to get personalized care from Dr. Nicholas Shama at one of America's best fertility clinics, call IVF Michigan Fertility Centers in Michigan and Ohio at 248-487-8084. That's 248-487-8084.
Welcome back and thank you for being with us. This is Khalil Hachem with US Arab Radio. We're going to be switching to a different topic. It is fall, kids are back to school, and it is a time for flu, fever, and sickness, and you name it. When do you keep your children at home, or when do you take them to a doctor, and when you take them back to school? With us this morning is Dr. Mohamed Fakih, a pediatrician at Dearborn Pediatrics and in Dearborn. Good morning and thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Khalil, for having me on. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. So you wake up, your child is running a fever. What should you do? I mean, the first thing, should you take him immediately to the doctor? Should you send him to school? What should you do?
So first thing is let's define what a fever is. So a fever is anything above 100.4. A lot of times in our office, parents will come in and say, hey, they have a fever. It's like 98.9, 99. That isn't a true fever. However, they may feel uncomfortable. So the first thing we do in terms of fever is management. It can be first like either a cool washcloth on the top of their head. It could be Tylenol, Motrin, depending on their age. Anyone under 6 months, we don't recommend Motrin. You can do Tylenol as their dose. But you can start with these supportive measures, cool things, washcloth, just to kind of temper the fever. And if it persists on beyond 3 to 4 days, that's when we typically recommend parents bring their children in for a fever check.
Why do children get fevers? Is it a virus? Is it just their bodies adjusting?
Yeah, so the fever, one of my mentors told me, is your body's response to saying there's something abnormal going on. There's hundreds of reasons we have fever. One of the most common reasons in children is viral illnesses. So they typically will last 3 to 4 days and then usually get better. However, there can be more serious things. In babies under 2 months, we take it more seriously. That can be more a sign of a bacterial infection. That can be life-threatening. So in those cases, when someone's under 2 months, we recommend that they seek medical attention early on rather than waiting 3 to 4 days like a typical viral course.
What should we watch for along with fever? Sniffling, what other symptoms should we watch for?
Exactly. So let's look at viruses, for example. So the most common we see this time of year are going to be the RSV virus, influenza virus. We're seeing a lot of upper respiratory infections, so things that are involving the upper airways. So sniffles, congestion, runny nose, a cough. Those are going to be sensing symptoms that are involving the upper respiratory, the upper areas. Sometimes if patients are having shortness of breath, persistent fevers, we think about pneumonia, so infections of the lungs. Some other sources could be ear infections, so they may have ear pain, some drainage from the ear, leaning towards ears. Other things we think about are like stomach bugs, for example. We're seeing a lot of stomach viruses happening, diarrhea, belly pain, they're throwing up, along with a fever. So
Hmm.
the course of symptoms kind of points to one direction, whether it's an ear infection, a virus, or something more serious if it persists.
Okay. So how do we monitor these kids?
Yeah. So first thing first, let's checking a fever. So there's many tools out for checking fevers. There's things that can do to check the forehead, the thermometers. There's ones at the ear. In babies, for example, they're maybe harder to get that. So you can do ears or you can do under the armpits.
Okay.
Those check better sources for fevers. Um, and then you can periodically check on the baby or the children every 3 to 4 hours to see if they have a persistent fever. If it
Okay.
persists, then you take measures again. You redose the Tylenol Motrin, or you give them a second dose. But if it continues on more than a couple days, you're doing everything you can. That's when you should seek attention, especially to call your pediatrician and say, "Hey, my child is sick. He or she's having persistent fevers. I'd like them to get checked out."
Okay. Okay. This is the time when they need to go to then they need to see a doctor.
Yeah, some
Yeah.
some seek right away, but I think if it persists beyond 2, 3, 4 days and you
Hmm.
don't have a source, you don't know what's going on, that's definitely
Yeah.
a vehicle for them to get checked out right there and there.
So if the children are of a school age,
Yes.
okay, they get sick, what should I do? I mean, they have a fever that's not really serious enough to go to the doctor. Should I
Mhm.
keep them home? Should I send them to school?
Well, to be safe on the safer side, if they have a fever, they should be kept away from school. They
Hmm.
most likely have something like a virus, for example, that can spread through the community, through the classroom. We're seeing cases of hand, foot, and mouth disease where
Hmm.
patients have sores in the mouth or they have sores on their hands and feet. And the way that spreads is through contact. So they
Sure.
put their hands in their mouth, touch surfaces, other kids touch surfaces, and then all of a sudden you see one case sprout to 30 cases in the classroom, and now almost every kid in the classroom or multiple kids in the classroom are down sick. So if they
Okay.
have a fever, I always recommend keeping them at home, trialing Tylenol Motrin, cool compresses, things to kind of support them. And if they are fever free for 24 hours, return back to school.
Okay. Okay. Now, they're seriously sick. I take him to the doctor. You give him antibiotics, whatever you give him, and then they come home. When should they go back to school?
An excellent question. So we get this question all the time in our office. So it's fever free for 24 hours. If they have a viral illness, they should be improving their symptoms. So if they're throwing up or vomiting, it should be less frequent, getting better. And we also ask the kids, "Are you feeling better?" If they
Yeah.
are feeling better and ready back to school, that's a great sign to me to say they should go back to school the next day. And if they're not feeling better, this is a time where we give more rest because a lot of times with these illnesses that they're dealing with, it impacts their body. They're more tired, they're more fatigued. So asking the input from the children themselves with a grain of salt, a lot of them want to skip school for an extra
Yeah.
couple of days. We got to be mindful of that. But if they're
Yeah.
looking improving better, that's to me a good sign that they should go back to school.
Okay. And as far as vaccines, I know they should all be current on their vaccines. Unfortunately, the byproduct of COVID is people lost faith in vaccines because of the bad publicity. You know, what do you recommend?
Yeah. So in terms of vaccines, we recommend getting all the recommended vaccines for school, including the flu. We are starting to vaccinate our children against flu and our younger babies against RSV. If they have a fever and they're presenting for an illness, it's a discussion between the parents and the provider, the doctor, to see whether they want to give that vaccine at that time frame, or let's push it for a few days, have them come back when they're fever free, they're feeling better to give the vaccine. Because one of the side effects of vaccines can be fever, and we don't want to mix up whether it's the illness or the vaccine and scare and cause more phobia against vaccines.
Yeah. And what's RSV? So people would know.
Yeah, great question. It's rhinosinctial virus. It's a virus that affects the lower areas of the lungs. Primarily, it affects usually the younger population, under 2 years of old, and the older population, over 65, more predominantly.
Hmm.
It's a stronger effect on them. Most
Hmm.
of us between 2 and 65, we have a great immune system. It's strong. It doesn't affect us. In terms of symptoms, what to expect, these are going to be fevers, congestion, runny nose, difficult breathing, um, have trouble breathing, they feel short of breath, Those are the symptoms you'll see in the younger population as well as the older population because they're more prone to having a severe reaction to this virus.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your practice and how can people reach you if they have any additional questions?
Yeah, so we're a pediatric office. I'm Dr. Mohamed Fakih. We're a three-person practice office. There's Dr. Lubna Fakih, my mother, part of practice, and we have a PA, Marissa Johnson. We're located in Dearborn, Michigan, West Dearborn, at 2547 Monroe Street, Dearborn, Michigan, 48124. We see kids from newborns all the way through 19 years of age, and we're always having new patients at our office. Just give our office a call at 313-791-8300. Again, it's 313-791-8300. We accept most insurance plans, both Medicaid and commercial plans.
Dr. Fakih, I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us.
We appreciate you having me on here and sharing some knowledge to our community.
Absolutely. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. Please stay tuned.
Are you going to start a restaurant or grocery store soon? Do you need floor plans and designs? Call Naji Abood at 734-744-9796. Do you want to buy kitchen and restaurant equipment at discount prices? Call Naji Abood now, 734-744-9796. New Concept Products and Design, the trademark of kitchen equipment. 5% discount on all purchases of $75,000 or more. New Concept Products and Design, new location, 31185 Schoolcraft in Livonia. Learn more at www.newconceptproducts.com. Call Naji Abood, 734-744-9796.
Ziyad brand. Quality products from our family to yours. Ziyad Brothers Importing offers the finest quality products, including brands like Sultan, Kraft, Nestle, Hook, Rico Picon, Donna, and many more. Ask your retailer to carry these fine products because you deserve the very best. For more information, visit our website at www.ziyad.com. That's www.ziyad.com. Ziyad, quality products from our family to yours.
Welcome back and thank you for being with us. This is Khalil Hachem with US Arab Radio. We're going to switch to a different topic. A study conducted by the AAA Foundation shows that exposure to aggressive driving fuels more aggression behind the wheel, which includes red light running, speeding, tailgating, honking, or cutting off other vehicles during the past year. It's very scary. We live in Dearborn and I dread driving on Ford Road. It's just all of these people that cut me off all the time. With us this morning is Adrienne Woodland. She's public relations program consultant with AAA. Good morning and thank you for being with us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
This is scary stuff. I mean, I was reading the highlights and it's like, wow, I can see that, but I did not know it was to this extent. Could you tell us a little bit about the study in general?
Yeah, so the AAA Foundation for Traffic Safety just recently did a study on aggressive driving. And in the survey, we found that 96% of the licensed drivers we surveyed admitted to at least one aggressive driving behavior within the last year. And those are behaviors that you've already mentioned.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. How much of that are really violent actions?
Yeah, so again, the cutting off, the speeding. When it comes to violent actions on the survey, we found that about 11% of those surveyed admitted to engaging in violent actions, such as intentionally bumping into another vehicle or confronting another driver.
Wow. Yeah, the other day somebody cut me off and he was upset with me and I was like, you cut me off. Why are you upset with me? Top offenders, what do we have, like an age? Do we have, what do we know about them?
So when it comes to the top offenders, and of course this is based on the survey, motorists under the age of 60 and those with household incomes of $100,000 or more. And while men and women are equally likely to drive aggressively, men are significantly more prone to escalating into violent driving behaviors.
Wow, that's interesting. And how does this really affect the behavior driving? I mean, this aggression, does it really influence others to be aggressive, or what did you find?
One key finding of the study is we found that the study reveals a self-perpetuating cycle. The more drivers encounter hostility on the road, the more likely they are to respond in kind and escalate tensions behind the wheel.
That's interesting. That explains, when people follow each other and engage in, fist fights and so forth and so on. So it's really now. Sometimes I see the people who cut me off either have muscle cars or big cars. Does what's the role of the car that people drive?
So another thing we found in this survey is that the vehicle does play a role. The kind of car you drive could predict how you act and how others perceive you. Drivers in sports cars, big trucks, or motorcycles are often seen as more aggressive. And some drivers say they felt more powerful or dominant behind the wheels of these vehicles.
Anyone sticks out, of these sports cars or trucks?
Pretty much any sports car, any type of big truck, or any type of motorcycle.
Yeah. How often do you do this survey?
The AAA Foundation for Traffic Safety, it's been around since actually 1947. And we do a lot of research, and our work is to prevent traffic deaths and injuries by researching the cause and then educating the public about strategies to prevent crashes.
Mm-hmm. How often do you do it?
We do a variety of different surveys all throughout the year. We haven't done a survey on aggressive driving since about 2016. And interestingly enough, we found that some things have changed since 2016. Some things have changed for the good. Some things not so much for the good. We found that, unfortunately, since 2016, cutting off other vehicles is up 67%.
Wow.
But on the positive side, tailgating is down about 24%, as well as yelling at other drivers is down about 17% since 2016.
Do we know what fuels that?
One of the things with this, driving is often a high stress experience, not just because other drivers are reckless, but because we react in the moment. Our research shows that even the calmest drivers can get drawn into road rage after a single incident. But with simple strategies, we can all help make the road safer.
Mm-hmm. If we try to compare between 2016 and now, are we doing better?
So we're doing better in regards to tailgating and as well as yelling at other drivers. But in other things like honking out of anger, that's up about 47% since 2016.
Well, they can take their frustration on the horn as much as they want, as long as they don't kill each other. Okay, so we know this is the behavior. What can we do and what can we share with our listeners, for safety? What are your recommendations?
So some of the things is good road etiquette and being courteous to other drivers are the most effective ways to reduce aggressive driving and road rage. Small gestures like using your turn signals, letting other drivers merge, and offering a friendly wave can help create a calmer driving environment for everyone.
And if I encounter an aggressive driver, what should I do?
So one of the first things you want to do is you want to stay calm. Avoid eye contact, gestures, and responding to that other driver. Give space, let them pass, and keep your distance, as well as protect yourself. Call 911 or go to a public place and do not go home.
Okay, do not go home or follow these guys anywhere. It's just
yes.
Yeah.
And if they are following you, definitely do not go home.
Yeah. If they're following me, just go to a public place
and call 911. Yes, call 911. Yes, going to the police.
I remember seeing that clip online. This person just kept driving to the police station and then called 911. I'm in your parking lot. This guy's following me. Okay, so how to control road rage?
So, how to control road rage? One, you want to breathe before you react. One deep breath is enough to calm and reset you for your drive. Another thing, don't take the bait. Ignore and avoid aggressive drivers. And lastly, choose time over tension. Leave early on your drive and give yourself enough space to get to your destination.
Yeah, it's a chore. You have to get it done. It's a shame. Driving used to be a lot of fun.
And again, it still can be if you again follow some of these tactics to avoid road rage and avoid aggressive drivers.
Who do you give this information to? Do you give them to public safety? Do you share them? Who do you share them with?
Yeah, we shared this with everyone. This news release was sent out to the media throughout the country, as well as it's available on our website at AAA.com.
I wonder if this is something that, I have these discussions with my children, and there may be some way where communities can really hold the classes and hold forums, and it's getting to be really a problem.
Yeah, definitely. And that's one of the things that the AAA Foundation for Traffic Safety does, is we want to educate the public so that we can make our roads safer.
Absolutely. This is why we wanted to reach out to you. It was very interesting. Any final thoughts?
Again, definitely, make sure to breathe, relax, be courteous on the roadways, and use good etiquette while you're driving. And that can make the roadways safer for everyone.
Wonderful. I appreciate you taking the time to be with us. Adrienne Woodland, Public Relations Program Consultant with AAA. Thank you so much for being with us.
And thank you for having me on the show.
Absolutely. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. Please stay tuned.
Arab Center Washington, D.C. was established in 2015 to serve as a Washington-based authoritative research center on the Arab world and U.S. policies in the region. My name is Khalil Hachem, and I'm the Executive Director of Arab Center, Washington, D.C.
I am Tamara Kharroub. I'm the Deputy Executive Director and Senior Fellow here. Our mission at Arab Center, Washington, D.C. has been to provide Arab perspectives to U.S. policy conversations and to highlight rights-centered approaches to policymaking as a way to serve the causes of human rights, democracy, just and peaceful resolution to conflict, and constructive long-term U.S. interest in the region.
Our work also addresses fundamental aspects of U.S.-Arab relations through timely and objective academic research, policy analysis, and educational exchange, reaching millions of people here in the United States and around the world.
Since our inception, we invested in producing reliable, evidence-based, and inclusive analysis on important issues shaping the Middle East and North Africa.
We would like to invite you personally to check out our publications and events at arabcenterdc.org.
And please follow our social media platforms for timely responses to news, events, and current affairs.
arabcenterdc.org.
A car accident can change your life in an instant. As a result of a car accident, you may become unemployed. As a result of a car accident, you may need a lot of medical treatment. People think that insurance companies are on their side. Why? Because they're giving them one or two benefits. Are they giving them all the benefits they deserve? How would one know unless you consult with an attorney? Call the law offices of Jumana Kiruz at 248-557-3645. 248-557-3645.
Thank you for being with us. I would like to thank our guest today for being with us, and thank you for listening. I would like to thank Dr. Roth for being with us, journalist Said Arikat, and from Washington, and also Adrienne Woodland from AAA, and Dr. Fakih from Dearborn Pediatrics for being with us today. Also, hopefully something will come up, something positive will come out of this proposal, and the mayhem could stop, and the killing could stop, and more humanitarian efforts, help rather, will reach Palestinians are desperately in need there. I strongly doubt that this will lead into anything dramatic, but it is what it is. At the same time, thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend. And all we can do is pray and hope that God will change the hearts of all of these people that are involved, change the hearts of Arab leaders, trying to be honest for a change, and also change the heart of everyone dealing with this to solve the issue, not just between the Palestinians and Israel, also between Lebanon and Israel, between Syria and Israel, between Arabs and Israelis and Arabs and Arabs. Thank you so much. You have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Bye now.